Aloha, welcome to the Anatomy of Thriving. So let's just start by dropping in, taking a few deep, slow inhales and exhales, as if you could breathe through the bottoms of your feet. Settling into your own body as I do the same, and then we'll begin. Inhales and exhales as if you could breathe through the bottoms of your feet. Allowing the energies of the earth to rise and meet your feet, grounding any excess energy in the nervous system. Grounding any preconceived notions or expectations, ideas, conclusions, perspectives, or perceptions of yourself, of those around you, of yesterday, today, or tomorrow. Just a general delete, ground, clear of any static in the field. And just working with your soul's direct connection to source. Allowing more of your soul's energy to fill and overlight every aspect of your being, known or unknown, discovered or undiscovered. Allowing yourself to sink in deeper and further into your body. Finding any remaining tension, allowing allowing your awareness to rest, relax, and unwind these areas of your body. And just commanding and requesting that this class, Anatomy of Thriving, be the most expansive, transformative, resolutionary, healing, restorative, rejuvenating, miraculous transmission, received perfectly for whatever your soul needs at this time in order to come more fully into the body, to thrive with passion, joy, access greater prosperity and abundance in all ways that are beneficial to the thriving of us all through your unique gifts, talents, and abilities. Asking for activations, clearings, healings, initiations, integrations, and embodiments as it relates to thriving greater than have ever been received before, beyond anything that we could dream of asking to receive for ourselves, with absolute grace, ease, and mercy to the physical and all things affecting the physical to the ethereal, that this be integrated perfectly throughout all bodies, dimensions, time, and space, and in, out, and in between them, as well as in any language that you speak or have spoken. Downloaded and cleared for all ancestors and descendants, as is requested and received, and as is appropriate according to Source's highest perspective at this time. And allowing these integrations, activations, embodiments to occur with near imperceptibility to your nervous system, without any signs or symptoms, in order to know that this is already done. Working with the angels and guides in the soul's direct connection through each of you here now, and those who are joining us later. And asking that all beneficial codes between all beings here be shared easily and effortlessly in accordance to each soul's direct connection to Source. And asking that anything that is incongruent and incompatible to your unique design and frequency of thriving is gently and easily released, removed, or simply rejected by your own guidance. Until and should it ever be useful to you. In full recognition of the collapse of the law of karma and the transmutation of this into the law of connection, understanding the usefulness of all frequencies only when they're useful. And through your soul's direct connection to Source, downloading for you the law of connection, from the highest perspective. Commanding and requesting that any remnants of the law of karma that is incongruent, incompatible to who you are and who you are becoming is lifted, cleared, and released from all layers and levels of encoding, known or unknown, discovered or undiscovered. Teaching all your cells what it feels like to commune in collective consciousness, in harmony, peace, and balance, for the fullest, highest health of all aspects, on all layers and levels. Just relaxing into your body even further. Even if it means you're slumping over just for now, finding the most comfortable position in your body, in your neck, in your jaw. When we're doing this, we are activating the nervous system in the most gentle way. You're providing downloads to the nervous system that we can be this relaxed and this aware simultaneously. And the reason this is important is because what most people call the ego is just an overactivation of the nervous system in a particular part where the electricity is kinked, where it's twisted, where it's been manipulated in ways that's held and received by the body as unvaluable. All the places where we've victimized ourselves or others, as well as felt or been victimized. When we relax, what we're really telling our bodies, our nervous systems, anything from the past, whether this lifetime or any lifetime, that's held within the cells, the nervous system of your body, when we relax in the presence of it, we are telling that it is worthy of being received. What you call addiction is just what allows you to numb out below the marker of where that line is in your nervous system. So those are what you call depressants, or keep you floating high above it so that you don't have to touch down into what is there and observed. And those would be your stimulants. In my own personal journey, this body's favorite thing to avoid that still point has been stimulants. And not that there's anything wrong with stimulants. It's just, why are we using them? And sometimes taking a break from your nervous system in the way that it is beneficial. But it's just bringing a gentle awareness to our intake of different substances. Caffeine, alcohol, ketamine, psychedelics. Cannabis, even pharmaceuticals, Adderall, Vicodin. Notice how there is great potential for them to avoid finding this still point, either numbing and blurring you from this awareness or allowing you to be up and out of it. So part of my integration for this class was not having any coffee recently, just to see what would happen. And it was super beautiful because what I realized is something that I've always known, but just because you know things doesn't mean you're going to follow it, right? And that is part of the gentleness of thriving. So I've had this theory for a long time, and I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I have been in, say, like the last year for sure. And it's been such a blessing in helping me move through like deep levels of fatigue. Obviously, it doesn't seem to help, but in certain quantities, coffee can actually be really helpful to move us out of nervous system stagnation, as long as you're focused in using tools in order to give you a lift so that you can get into better habits and patterns. So everything is in balance here. It's not, we're not against or for anything in particular. It's just noticing what is right for you and when it's not. And this is part of what you'll be receiving in the booklet as the replay comes out. And that is this integration of your direct connection. Understanding that the information that is out there is for you to subscribe or unsubscribe to. We no longer all have cable TV. We all subscribe to our own channels. It is the same. That is just an external representation. Technology is showing you what's actually already real and inside. You get to subscribe or unsubscribe from whatever is beneficial for your thriving moving forward. Hold everything very loosely, especially ideas and the stories that you tell yourself. So back to the coffee. I've had this idea that everything that we do is giving our body a subconscious signal. So when I'm drinking coffee, am I telling myself that I don't have enough energy? And I've had this idea that every time I'm drinking coffee, I'm subconsciously telling myself that I don't have enough energy and I need this in order to make that work. So it keeps you stuck in this loop of, I don't have enough energy. Now, you can have a completely different relationship with coffee and understand that this is a joy, and it's been used in sacred ceremonies for millennia in different cultures. It opens up different pathways of thinking, expressing, perceiving, because it heightens the activity of neurotransmission. Tobacco also does this. When I was a smoker in high school, I used to tell my mom, but I'm just doing it because I write my papers so much better. It increases neurotransmission, so we can justify things however we want. But the point is, honor and recognize that all the different places that you've been in your life have been purposeful and with great reason, whether you understood it or not. And part of thriving is the integration of value and virtue. If the opposite of thriving is, say, suffering, who suffers more than a victim or a victimizer? And part of this integration is a level of compassion and understanding that the victimizers are the ones who are most victimized within themselves. So much so that they can't even have the capacity. They have to externalize, they have to outsource their suffering to others in order to hopefully give themselves a break, unknowingly giving themselves more energetic homework to do at the end when they start to integrate that. But that also equals the power of their soul as it's coming in, because you can think of the dissolution of the law of karma into the law of connection as realizing that what a soul holds, all the things that you feel from someone else that could really use some integration, is actually their power that's in their potential. So we can love and honor the soul that is still in its seed form and still not be victimized by what they choose to say or do to you. Because whatever is coming in your direction still has to go through your filter. So you are the master of connection. And that intimacy with everything in your reality and the receptivity of value is what allows you to thrive no matter what comes your way. No matter what information comes to you, quote unquote, negative or positive, you are the translator. You are connecting to that information, witnessing its value, and creating intimacy, and through that deeper integration of your soul. You don't have to decide what something means because of what it sounds like. This is what I call analysis. Analysis is in the mind, it's logic, it's trying to understand. You already know what someone's intention is. You can feel it. You don't need to analyze what's going on there. But feel the deeper pain and hurt that someone's projections or ideas about you, whether this has happened recently or when you were a child being bullied, just bringing these people into awareness. This is all the stuff that we're deleting right now. Recognize how deeply all of those people were hurting. The information that they provided you was an externalization and outsourcing of their pain to you. They didn't know how to manufacture a cure. Someone has to be. And you are the resolution that answered that call and came here to be, express, and thrive as something that no one else can understand until they've done it for themselves. And when you're doing something that no one else has ever done, only talk to God. And from that place, begin connecting with others who can share on the same field with you. And as you're thriving more and more within yourself, that population of people that you're truly going to be able to connect with will become smaller. But the impact that you will make will become larger because you begin filtering reality far outside of just your own personal journey, because nothing is personal. And when you deeply understand and integrate that, you begin transforming reality on a whole new level. And that new level is that nothing is your responsibility to heal. Part of thriving is really clear boundaries. We don't need to help anyone else. We don't need to heal anyone else. Nothing needs to be serviced. Nature is taking care of itself every single day. Being in the jungle has taught me that. Looking at the birds, the insects, the plants, everything working in harmony. Ensure the land that I'm staying at is very curated. But the wild jungle doesn't have anyone looking after it in the same way, but everything is looking after it. So the first step is trusting that everything on some level is thriving. And perhaps that's a great mantra. This must be how this is thriving. This must be how this person is thriving. This must be how I am thriving. A lot of us, when we think about the word thriving, there can be like a shrinking away. Oh, I'm definitely not thriving. But the first step is deleting time. Because when you're trying to do anything, and specifically trying to thrive, you're trying to move from point A to point B, to get from somewhere you're not to somewhere that you want to be. But whatever you want is already here on some level. And many of you that have taken other courses with me have, where I've talked about, find the smallest amount of okayness that you can find. If you can't be okay with that, go smaller. Can I be okay that I'm not okay with that? No. Okay, go smaller. Find the smallest amount of okayness in your reality and just anchor and start there. And then you are instantly in the vibration of okayness, which is really the emanation of love, safety, honoring the moment as perfect, even if it's unpreferred. This must be how this person, place, thing, circumstance, world, reality, myself is thriving. You are assuming thriving, and then you are looking subconsciously for what is thriving. So some part of you is already doing that. Recognizing the patterns of victimhood or victimization that have been thriving. Maybe it's self-doubt, patterns that lead to overworking and fatigue. Issues in relationships. But when you're building a garden, weeds are actually what create a new level of depth to the soil that allows more fruit-bearing plants to grow. So don't think that you aren't thriving just because what is thriving isn't what you prefer. The world is thriving. The land is thriving. The world is thriving in all ways. It's just not what we want to be thriving. And the reason for that is because there's a lack of soul integration. And at the same time, while you're seeing all of these patterns that seem opposite of thriving show up on so many levels, is because collectively the soul of us is returning, descending, integrating, embodying into the physical. You are not what's healing. You are not what's transforming. You are not even what is awakening. As your soul, that which is already transformed, healed, evolved, awakened, enters physical reality, it flushes out of the cells of your being all that is not in resonance with who you are. Even the world around you, which includes your body. Everything that is material is what has already happened. Spirit is where it occurs first. So many people are trying to fix all kinds of things that are wrong with them physically. But that's just the process of resolution that they're going through, not something that needs to be resolved. Now, I'm not suggesting don't take care of yourself and to just be whimsical in your mind that everything is okay, but everything is okay. Trust. Trust in your thriving. Focus on your blooming. When you're sitting in meditation, asking the highest, fullest expression of your soul, of your thriving, to show up for you. Show me what that feels like in my body. Show me how to make choices from this place. The hardest thing that you can do is to make a different choice sometimes, because those pathways have been carved out so many different times. The easiest way to make this differentiation between what may be the same and provide you an experience of shame and what can help you thrive is what is consensus reality and what is my direct connection. Consensus reality is absorbed material, even this material. I'm just helping point back to your direct connection, something that a lot of spiritual teachers will kind of point to. But you are here to create a pathway that is completely unique to you. No one is going to do what you've done. You're creating things that have never been created before. Really take that in. Even if you think it's something that you're doing that's mundane, the way that you are doing it is completely new. Because your consciousness and our consciousness, where we are at in the universe, is at the cutting edge of it. You're carving out the pathways of thriving. And you are meant to lead and connect with other beings who are finding their pathways to thriving. But all of that unfolding and unfurling within your perception of your reality is by signing yourself fully and completely on to what lights you up. You can't rely on a formula, although I'm going to give you formulas, to tell you what to do. The reason my formulas are on the cutting edge of consciousness is because the formula is to direct you back to you. Prayers, commands, codings, that just direct your consciousness in the most efficient way to your direct connection to what is true for you. Notice the ways in which you need to argue or convince others of your reality. In the end, you're the only one that will thrive the way that you do. I feel like I learned this really deeply when I spent time in Brazil. People who had nothing in comparison to the average American. And I've never met a people more enthralled by life, by the simplest things. And so the first step is deleting, resolving all that is incongruent and incompatible to who you are and who you are becoming. Most of the time, thriving is not about what you're adding, but what you're taking away. Because your soul is already thriving. If you're suffering, there's a part of your soul that loves that, that is excited by the amount of suffering. Because that amount of suffering, your soul knows, is in direct proportion. Actually, it's not even direct proportion. In exponential proportion to the direction, the opposite direction that you will go as you move through that. Like a slingshot. The further and deeper and darker it gets, the more rocky the rock bottom, the higher the highs, the more expansive the views that you will see through. And we are moving into an era quickly where those that come after us, because of the thriving pathways that we are carving, will not have the same level of density to move through. And they will teach us new ways to thrive, which are beyond anything that we can even conceive of at this moment. And I say this from the place of collapsed understanding and collapsed stories. We're leaving the pathway of right and wrong. It's simply integrating what's right for you at this time. What's going to help you thrive right now is going to be completely different from what's going to help me thrive, or your friend thrive. Make mistakes, be iterative. Every time you think you make something called a mistake, you're simply deleting out of your field all ideas of right and wrong. It's just what's most efficient. This must be the most efficient path. I've been saying this to myself for, I don't know, 10 years. No matter what I've been going through, this must be the most efficient path. When you're in that space of non-resistance to what life is bringing you, you're fully open and available to the thriving. Because you can metabolize anything. You are aware that no matter what comes your way, you can metabolize grief. You can metabolize shame. You can metabolize sadness, sorrow. You can also metabolize joy, ecstasy, bliss. When you're rejecting the gifts in part of reality, there are equal portions of the opposite side of that scale that you are also equally rejecting. In order for the tree's branches to reach into heaven, the roots must touch hell. And it is through the alchemization of your hell that allows you to become the heaven that you have been waiting for. We're no longer waiting for heaven, we're becoming it. And your divine transmission through every cell of your body as you integrate more and more and more of your soul. And it feels like you're constantly going through pain, suffering, and struggle. It's because that is how much of your soul is coming into your body, and all that is opposite of the vibration of your soul is coming up and out of your body and being witnessed. So just the subtle shift, but very, very important shift of understanding that you are not what is healing. You are what is healed. You are that resolution that's dropping into the body, cold pressing like a juice, all the value in the things that the world around you could not receive the value in. That's the only reason why the body is encoded with corrupted data. It's been corrupted because the data was never seen and witnessed for what it was, which is limitless value, because God is omnipresent or it is not. So if God is everywhere and everything, then everything must have limitless value. And all you have to do to become a master alchemist is receive value. It's so easy. And claiming that it is easy will bring alive an awareness in your field, everything that makes it feel like it's not easy. Because claiming this will bring everywhere that feels opposite of that, so that it can be married into the effortlessness of divine grace, ease, and mercy that you are as you integrate into form more perfectly. It's noticing how different you already feel. The hardest part about thriving is wanting more of it. Mm. What if every economic boom and recession is just a cycle where we learn how to receive more from less, how to be more creative with the materials and resources that we have, becoming more limitless within confined spaces. Because if you feel more limited in the world as it is now, it's because more of your limitlessness is coming into your body. So it is pressing out of reality, out of everything around you, which includes your body, all that is opposite of the limitlessness that you are. Bliss requires a casualness, almost a silence. If you get too excited, it starts to go away. It's a relaxation into your body that allows your natural joy to come online. Your bliss, your joy, your thriving are always there. It's just that we attempt in a pathological way to try and get more of it, not realizing that there's a limitless, infinite supply always here and available should you decide to stop looking for it. Instead, be found. I once was lost, but now I'm found. True meaning. Taking a few deep, slow inhales and exhales. Connecting to the earth and through your soul's direct connection to the source within. That we are. And with your permission, just working on behalf of Source, your soul's direct connection to Source within. to delete out of all layers and levels of being, known or unknown, discovered or undiscovered, in, out, and in between time, space, and dimension, in all languages that you speak or have spoken, and for all ancestors and descendants as is appropriate. Starting with the mental, the mind, pulling, releasing, cleansing, clearing, all ideas, beliefs, conclusions, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions, identities, attachments, overlays, that are incongruent, incompatible to the fullest expression of your soul's thriving from the highest perspective. And just witnessing these changes, releasing all conflicts, conflict shocks in the brain and psyche, and witnessing the brain healing, and whatever tissue, cells, or organs that these parts of your brain control, just asking that the innervations be cleansed, cleared, and purified, and all changes at the cell, tissue, and organ level be with grace, ease, and mercy, with no signs or symptoms, in order to know that this is already done. And just witnessing the thoughts and projections of others being pulled, all incongruent, incompatible influences on the mother's side, on the father's side, as well as any caretaker or caretakers at any point, whether you realize that you are relating to them or not as a caretaker. Replacing it with the soul's caregiving that you always needed and couldn't yet receive. Filling the space being created. Releasing, cleansing, clearing any academia that's incongruent and incompatible to your soul's direct connection with who you are and who you are becoming. Any resources that you've utilized that are no longer necessary for your journey ahead, allowing all beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions from any resources that are no longer required and are incompatible and incongruent to who you are and who you are becoming. Replacing them with your soul's direct connection and source's perspective of it all. Pulling, cleansing, clearing any blocks, barriers, distortions, technologies of any kind, interrupting the flow of communication between the crown and the solar star, preventing your full thriving from entering your mental body. Canceling, clearing, releasing all thought waves and emotional patterns, incongruent, incompatible to your highest, fullest thriving. Releasing all effects of radiation, transmuting it into harmless form, sending it back to the light, releasing this pressure on the body in all areas, known or unknown, discovered or undiscovered. Any influence from LEDs and fluorescent lighting that has disturbed the natural flow of your human biocomputer. So working with the sixth and seventh eyes, clearing all channels related or associated to these in the highest, best, and healthiest way. Turning on all pathways gently, with ease and grace, fully integrated and received. In accordance to your soul's direct connection. It's a source within. Collapsing all waves, functions, forms, and frequencies. The technology of fear that are incongruent, incompatible to who you are and who you are becoming. Mentalized fear. Honoring and receiving the gift of differentiated experiences known as fear for the service and product of unconventional reality that we are completing here through the reconnection of the cosmic self. It's working with the fourth eye, which you may know as the crown chakra. It's clearing all lenses, all overlays, all attachments, projections, all judgments. All false light overlays. All masculine distortions, all feminine distortions, all queer distortions. It's reconnecting you to God's thriving. Reworking, rewiring, rejuvenating for divine life embodiment. And just coating this energy as it comes into the body, miraculously healing through its integration of resolution, all that can be fully resolved, realized, and expressed to completion at this time. Thank you, Shomi. widening the channels, upgrading your body's technologies and capacities to hold this frequency with grace, ease, and mercy to the physical and all things affecting the physical to the ethereal, integrated perfectly throughout all bodies, known and unknown, discovered or undiscovered, turning on all systems, organs, tissues, and cells existing and vibrating outside of known physical, perceivable reality that are congruent and compatible for your human biocomputer at this time in the highest, best, and healthiest way through your soul's direct connection to source within. Releasing any shieldings or patterns of protection that prevent you from integrating the cosmic self that I am now. Releasing all beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions related or associated to holding these in place. Just allowing this energy to move into any part of the body feeling physical pain, working out whatever is required in order to completely resolve this in the highest, best, and healthiest way for you at this time. Canceling, clearing, releasing all patterns, frequencies of self-doubt, doubting others, doubting the world, related or associated to thriving in the integration of the cosmic self. Working this through into the emotional body, specifically for the back of the heart. Working with the digestive system, allowing this to properly metabolize any emotions held contained. Allowing them to be fully expressed, fully resolved. To the completion of this integration in the gut, witnessing all ideas, beliefs, conclusions, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions created out of empathically understanding and misperceiving reality that are incongruent and incompatible to who you are and who you are becoming. Being released. Bringing any leaks of your energy and your energy field to your attention, allowing them to reveal themselves gray or shadowed or blurry, and allowing this energy to move in and fully express through all aspects of your energy field, known or unknown, discovered or undiscovered. Cutting any cords, resolving any memories through fully receiving their values and virtues on all appropriate levels. Any tendencies towards mentalizing reality that are incongruent, incompatible to who you are and who you are becoming. Resolving, releasing, purifying, balancing the channels and meridians between the brain and all the organs. Tendencies towards overactivity that are incongruent and incompatible to your fullest and highest thriving. Releasing any vows, contracts, links, bonds, agreements, that you would not fully express yourself in exchange for being liked by others, consciously, subconsciously, unconsciously. Witnessing these patterns and frequencies being canceled, cleared, deleted. Pulling, releasing these unspoken words or expressions from the tongue, from the tonsils, the lymphatic system. Allowing this to be resolved to completion, integrated and embodied through your soul's direct connection to source within. And reworking any brain spots, conflict shocks related or associated to these issues. And just witnessing them being changed according to your soul's direct connection in the highest, best, and healthiest way for you at this time. Oh. So working on restoring the brain to its highest, fullest capacity and original form and function, while turning up its capacity to hold this new frequency of your cosmic self embodied, asking that all tools, talents, abilities, gifts, known or unknown, discovered or undiscovered, invented or uninvented, downloaded, integrated, and assimilated in the highest, best, and healthiest way for you. Working with the occipitals, repairing any tissue damage. From any medical process that created brain swelling, encephalitis, known or unknown, discovered or undiscovered, pulling, releasing, cleansing, clearing these poisons outside of the body's natural detoxification pathways with no signs or symptoms in order for this to be done. Releasing all related associated beliefs, ideas, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions. Quantumly entangled to these toxins. Scraping them clean to completion now. Thank you, Shami. Working with the frequency, the voltage, the carrying capacity of your body, asking that the integration of this resolve all aspects of your being, physical to ethereal, that are in the highest, best, and healthiest at this time. Whatever this is, uninstalling it from all layers and levels of being, past, present, future, in, out, and in between time, space, and dimension, in all languages that you speak or have spoken. Uninstalled for all ancestors and descendants as is appropriate and healthy at this time. Taking a few deep, slow inhales and exhales to integrate. And just working the energy of your cosmic self through the sexual organs, systems. For some of you, this could be very uncomfortable, just relaxing, resting, receiving. As you're receiving more of you, all that is not of you is what is leaving. Anything coming into awareness that feels uncomfortable, just thank you for showing me what is resolving to completion at this time. The more casual you are with what is triggered, if anything, the more you will be aware of and aligned with the thriving that is coming more online in all ways you couldn't have dreamed of asking to receive for. Reversing any fragmentation that has occurred through the sexual energy systems or functions, known or unknown, discovered or undiscovered. Replacing it with your soul's direct connection to source within. Just working out any constrictions in the flow of sexual energy that are incongruent and incompatible to who you are and who you are becoming. So working with the root, allowing the energy of your cosmic self to turn on, light up, activate, embody, integrate, resolve to completion in all ways that are highest, best, and healthiest for you at this time. The root. the Earth Star, turning on all undiscovered, yet to be invented pathways, channels, meridians. Fully connecting and turning you on. Your synarchy with the planet. And all who are here at this time. In the highest, best, and healthiest way for you. Your soul's direct connection to source within. Releasing any womb wounding, whether you're male or female bodied, you have a womb. Releasing, resolving to completion, any hijacking of this area of your body, physical to ethereal. Witnessing it all being sent back to its origin, with blessings for its journey ahead, closing any leaks, releasing any permission for this feeding of your energy. Canceling all contracts, agreements, vows, links or bonds to these influences. Replacing it with your soul's direct connection to source within's agreement to fully embody the cosmic self now. Thank you, show me. In the highest, best, and healthiest way for you at this time. Resolving these resentments, judgments, grudges held or contained in the urinary tract, kidneys, the bladder, even working with the quality of the blood as it relates to this. Spleen, and again, the sexual organs, systems. Purifying this in the light of purity that you are now. Purity in connection to your own soul's connection, understanding and recognizing purity without the influence of consensus reality. and deleting those files to completion, replacing it with your soul's connection to source within and source's perspective of it all. Working with the testicles. Again, whether you're male or female body, ovaries, testicles, same, but different. The holding of the codes of life. Allowing the cosmic self to fully integrate here. Clearing any distorted channels, meridians, or pathways between testicles, ovaries, the rest of the body. And just downloading through your soul's direct connection to source within all ideas, beliefs, conclusions, understandings, perspectives, or perceptions that are highest, best, and healthiest for you at this time to fully express, integrate, realize the cosmic self as it relates to thriving, fully expressing your gifts, your talents, your abilities. Clearing the channels between the testicles, the throat, that you know what it feels like to speak from the depths of your soul. That you know what it feels like to express from the depths of your soul. That it is possible to express from the depths of your soul. That you have sources, truth, definition, and value of expressing yourself from the depths of your soul from the highest perspective. Forgetting, releasing, deleting, cleansing, clearing, resolving all that is incongruent and incompatible, to expressing, being, seeing, knowing, feeling, hearing, allowing and being from the depths of your soul. clearing the channels between the root, sacrum, testicles, ovaries, the womb, through the femurs, into the knees, clarifying all distortions in the knees, all corrupted files and data that has not had its values or virtues fully received, allowing these to be fully integrated, embodied, received on all layers and levels as is appropriate. That you know that it's possible to receive value from anything and everything, that you can receive value from anything and everything, that you live your daily life receiving value from anything and everything. You have sources, truth, definition, and value of receiving value from anything and everything from the highest perspective. That you know how to do it, when to do it, you know what it feels like to be safe and in the body from the highest perspective, that it's possible, that you can, that you know how to be safe and in the body simultaneously, that you live your daily life in the body and safe simultaneously. Unhooking all rigidity between the mind and the knees. Releasing attachments, identities, understandings, perspectives, perceptions. Incongruent and incompatible. Just working with your soul's direct connection to source within to clear all subscriptions to all aspects of reality that are incongruent and incompatible to who you are and who you are becoming, preventing you from fully integrating and standing in your truth. Standing in as for the cosmic self that you are now. And just working into activation, commanding and requesting that more of your cosmic self come into physical form, activating all pathways, known or unknown, related or associated to thriving. Activating your capacities for thriving, your gifts for thriving, your capabilities of thriving, all talents of thriving. Collapsing all waves, frequencies, and patterns of the glass ceiling or the glass floor, whether ascending or descending, wherever you are in the soul's journey. Collapsing all frequencies of glass barriers, where you see where you can go and seemingly cannot get there. Collapsing these ceilings and floors, all glass barriers that are incongruent, incompatible to who you are and who you are becoming, receiving all values and virtues that they have provided, and releasing them from the obligation of teaching you anything further, and downloading these insights across all layers and levels of being, physical to ethereal, integrated perfectly throughout all bodies, in, out, and in between time, space, and dimension, in all languages that you speak or have spoken, downloaded, activated, and embodied for all ancestors and descendants, and teaching them what it feels like to live in this new space, time, and embodiment as we are now. Recognizing as on the cutting edge of consciousness, there is a lot of energy that is unfamiliar with where we are going, and just allowing ourselves to be cut free allowing us to fully enter into the new game. Through the law of connection, releasing all ties, vows, contracts, agreements to the law of karma, concepts of original sin, collapsing all frequencies of these distortions and creating new waves and functions of thriving through your direct connection to Source within. Thank you so much. We've made it through. Collapsing the old universe with grace, ease, and mercy, complete gratitude, and total resolution for its participation in our ascension, integration, and descension into physical form as the cosmic self that I am now. Feeling the bottoms of your feet, the magnetics turning on, reconnecting you to the planet. Feeling your roots having tasted hell, sucking up all the nutrients that hell provides, blossoming, blooming, expanding into the heaven that you've become. with no end to how high, how deep, how wide. In this dimension of reality, we've left the zero-sum game. The more willing you are to show up and thrive, the more we all thrive. Collapsing all waves and functions of competition that are incongruent and incompatible to who you are and who you are becoming. Activating connection and communion. And teaching the masculine in us all, the talent, gift, capability, and capacity of collaboration and synarchy within the context of this new universe. We no longer have to rely on competition in order to find value within the masculine energy. Teaching this aspect of the masculine how to fully integrate and receive collaboration, the gifts, and fully thinking, receiving, and resolving all inversions of competition that are incomplete and incongruent to who we are and who we are becoming. Working with the feminine, energy of all of us. We know how to receive the nourishment of this new universe of communion and connection. Fully expressing, releasing, resolving the pain from the law of karma. Passing it back through the portal through which we came. In gratitude and sealing all pathways incongruent, incompatible to this new dimension of thriving that we have created together. Activated, integrated, and embodied on the planet as key holders of a new frequency. And the living anatomy of thriving. As I am now. that we are now. Now it's just time to play. Of course, it's 11:11. Oh. Taking a few deep, slow inhales and exhales. Honoring and recognizing the journey. That we all just moved through. Just working with any free floating memories. The previous universe. Allowing them to be fully seen, recognized, resolved, and honored to completion. Any grief that needs to be processed. Any excess heat in the body. Any micro dysregulation of the nervous system from traveling so far so quickly. Releasing these to completion now. any conflicts or conflict shocks that this created on a physical, brain, psyche level, resolving these to completion as well. In the face of anything that comes up, feels like you're not thriving, any patterns, sometimes on the other side of massive integration, embodiment, activation, we are given these moments of experiences that allow us to check our math. And this is actually a part of the integration that the physical sometimes requires as a feedback loop of information. I call it a template test. So if something comes up, it's just a template test, testing the integration that everything is so different now. Any doubts arising, feelings or questions about being incomplete, unhealed. Thank you for showing me what is resolving at this time, as the thriving I am is here now. And sometimes you'll have to be so brave to push forward past things that others will tell you no one has or ever could thrive through. This is a lie. Not the kind with malicious intent. But sometimes it is the clarity of using strong language that allows you to carry forward in the direction that you're already going. The only thing that is for sure in this new universe that we are sharing here together is that you get to decide. You get to decide what thrives for you here. Your thriving isn't reliant on others. Collapsing waves functions and patterns of codependency and enmeshment so that you can take up space. Because in this universe, the more space you take up, the more we are all fed. This is a whole new game of thriving. It's not one dependent on monetary gain. The number of resources that you have or don't have. It's not defined by the obstacles, circumstances, the environment, the economy. But it will require you to be akamai, more clever than the cleverest one in the room. And as the intensity of your light increases on the planet, it is pressing out of the world around you all that is not in resonance with what and who you are, which means that as things increase in chaos, the world will convince you, try to convince you, of the unthriving that is occurring. And I'm not saying that there isn't suffering, but what I am saying is the suffering is leaving. And a lot of times when we're trying to help others as a healer, as a coach, as a clinician, or a friend, or a lover, we are unconsciously holding them in patterning that's already leaving. Sometimes someone just needs to be heard in order for that to occur. And you can be the one that hears you at any time. Thriving within yourself. Silently or vocally. I often have chosen to vocally express this, even with the projections that have been received because of that. Because to me, that's just the sound of people uncomfortably realizing that they too can thrive without taking anything from me. I only have value to offer, and so do you. even if it is a complaint, it's just the sound of density leaving your body. And I have no intention of holding you in that or there. Because from here on and forward, we are expressing from a whole new universe. In ancient Hawaiian doctrine, the octopus is the last entity to pass through, the only entity to pass through the old universe into the last one. The cool thing about this place is not everyone has to be here. Only you have to be here. So you don't need to convince other people that they are thriving, because that only actually holds them in a reality where they are not thriving, just to give you the opportunity to convince them that they are thriving. It's just assuming that whatever is coming out of people's mouths is their form of thriving. And of course, we offer from wherever we are to inspire others, just as I am doing here. But we get to hold it so loosely. The hardest part about thriving is wanting more of it. And it's knowing the difference between cultivating, innovating, and inventing new ways of thriving, and being in craving of it. Which keeps you in an inverted place, completely lacking of it. And in this universe, we're creating from thriving, not towards thriving. That's the only way that we can get to a regenerative place. So the three basic steps of thriving is to delete or resolve, to activate, and to play. And something feels like it's not thriving, it's actually more thriving coming in. So when you're aware of that, the question can be, what is resolving at this time, or what needs to be resolved in order for this to heal completely? The resolution is who you are. The healing is your experience as more of you comes into the body that you are resolving. And your body heals as the resolution that you are comes fully into place. So the more of your soul that you bring into the body, the more the body can reflect the resolution that you are. And the experience of a process is what is called healing. But again, you are not what is healing. You are resolution. So to give an example, if something comes up, say a couple weeks from now, and you're like, this doesn't feel like it's thriving for me right now. What do I need to release? What pattern? What's the flavor of this energy? I am thriving. I am more thriving coming into being. And so patterns of what can no longer stay must come up and out, clearing that out of the way. The activation, bringing in more of your soul's direct connection to source within. Asking, praying, commanding for your greatest talents, gifts, abilities, activations, integrations, embodiments to come online. Within you. As I was saying that, I could literally hear the subconscious beliefs of spiritual teachers who don't share things to this level, who subconsciously want to keep you looping in reliance on their energy, living in scarcity of reality. And I thought and shared my perspective with that energy that I became aware of just now. There is an infinite and limitless supply of thriving. And in this universe, we all do it together. There is no shortage or scarcity here. There is simply creativity, communion, connection, and expansion. And it all comes from the joy that I am, that we are together. And that leads to the final step, which is play. Allowing yourself to play. You're not here to be on a healing journey or resolve your trauma. That was already done the moment that you were conceived. And you've been moving through a sliding scale process that as more of your soul from that conception comes into physical form, it's automatically pressing out of your body what was encoded that your soul knew that its unique frequency could move through and play in. You have a traumatized nervous system, or did God give you a very narrow bandwidth for bullshit? And when you follow that refinement rather than trying to fix the thing that's helping you get to a very refined place of high standards in your reality, then your nervous system will be able to integrate and receive all sorts of versions of reality with the varying standards that consciousness still has. But you are raising that bar by breaking through all those glass ceilings, walls, and floors that have prevented beings for millennia from fully expanding into the thriving aspects of their souls that they were here to play in. But we are in a new universe now, one that we each fully embody, individually express, and communally celebrate together in. The cosmic self means full integration of all that is here in the body. All the layers and levels, beyond all ideas, beliefs, conclusions, understandings, perspectives, perceptions of what thriving is or is not. You take in any input and metabolize it into greater thriving. A dark night of the soul is just you inhaling all the corrupted files, all the shadow or inverted data that only you can alchemize into limitless value and an unlimited capacity to thrive. I know I can make it through anything. And it was by making it through anything that I could deliver this from the deepest resonance of my being as my individual contribution to our thriving. And my gifts, talents, and abilities may be perceived through this experience of reality as an individual experience. But I share in them just as much as you do. And with your gifts, talents, and abilities, I share in them just as much as you do. Because in this universe, we are here together to experience a reality that is beyond thriving as it has been known. Just taking a few deep, slow inhales and exhales. We're going to move to questions here in a moment. Really soaking in all that we've received. All right. Yes. For a second, I thought this said, may I ask a question about strep 1? I was like, oh, we can talk about bacteria, no problem.
I'm happy to say I do not currently have any issues with that one. Now, I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more about your approach to step 1, because I've studied various techniques and I think I want to, I don't know, I'm sort of reevaluating what I need to be doing right now with kind of like a approaches to deleting or clearing. And the example that I'm noticing coming up is I'm plugging in too much to other people's disease diagnoses and noticing illness in people. And I'm starting on what is like a shockingly long Chiron return. I think for most people it's 6 to 12 months, and mine is like 36 months or something. It's like 30 months or something. So I feel like I need to really be observant of, because Chiron's in my house of health, I need to really be observant around the energies that I'm running there. So if you're noticing that you're plugging into other people's energies and realities, of course it's triggering something in me, old fears, sense of disempowerment about what happens to me physically. But what does your deletion process look like?
Yeah, first, the interesting thing about deleting is in part step 1 and step 2 are a bit actually the same, but they're definitely separate. There's the deleting and then the activating, but the activating is doing the deleting and the deleting is giving space for the activation. And in that, it's the assumption of thriving. And a diagnosis, while difficult to receive, is being misperceived in the sense that it is an incoming experience versus a diagnosis being an outgoing resolution in process. Dia meaning through, gnosis meaning spiritual mysteries. So a diagnosis has been distorted and inverted to mean something that is dark and dangerous, that you are condemned to. Oh, this is what I diagnose you with. It's a putting on energy that people place there, where it actually means that you can and are going to move through a hallway of receiving all kinds of spiritual mysteries and the knowledge of them that you would not have received prior to that diagnosis.
Mhm.
And so the clearing in that sense specifically would be, it can be easy sometimes to look at someone who comes to you with this diagnosis and feel for them and the pain and suffering that they're going through, not recognizing that you tuning in and feeling that pain for them is just you copying the information that they are going to go through. And that can be gentle and nice on a human level for someone to feel like you really feel their pain. And also, there's the opportunity to be with someone in the activation that they are going through. I remember going through my own diagnosis, and a friend reminded me of my own teaching, which is, I hope this lasts as long as it needs to in order to transform me. And it was in that moment that he reminded me of transformation and the activation, which automatically deleted what needed to be deleted and activated what needed to be activated. So the step of deletion is, and you'll see this in the workbook, is actually more of a question of just revealing, show me what needs to be resolved in order for this to be healed now. And then step two, the activation is bringing through whatever is required in order to assimilate the next level of your fullest expression. And that can be simplified just in the terms of, allow me to receive whatever I need in order for this to be resolved. Show me how to be. Show me how I can think of this. Show me how I can be in better relationship. Sometimes an activation and a deletion is actually just a shifting of relationship. The way language is formulated can make it difficult because we are indoctrinated with what words mean. But words don't inherently have meaning. We've just applied meaning to words, and that has been used to imprison people in all shapes and forms. It's also why I removed the label gay from myself. And when I did that, it was like the hugest psychic relief of my life. Because you're releasing an agreement to a particular idea that has been projected on by reality in various ways and forms. I'm just me doesn't have to be the resolution for just identity of any kind, but an answer to anything. I am me, my experience. I am here to fully explore whatever my experience is, and I don't need to be attached to any particular way, idea, form, way of being. And that is the answer of deletion and activation. Because if I can loosely hold, or just ask to be brought more aware of what I'm holding tightly to so that I can loosen my grip around it, mold it in your hands. How could I perceive this differently? What is the most thriving way for me to perceive this situation? Thank you for showing me how I am thriving. Thank you for showing me that this person is thriving. And it can be difficult sometimes to remind ourselves of that, especially when there's so much suffering. But when we get entangled in certain patterns, it's actually just our resolution of that pattern coming into fruition through an acceleration and magnification of the pattern until it grinds our gears to a halt and we finally just submit to the higher order that is our cosmic self coming online.
Mm-hmm.
So to make a 10-minute answer, a 30-second pitch, just ask the question, show me what I need to resolve in order for this to heal. Show me is there any way in which I am engaged with, which is limiting my full perception of this from the highest perspective? That's a great question. And a lot of this process of thriving is actually a journey of trust. Trusting you're thriving. I had to make a really big choice within myself, and I knew the right answer. And this was just yesterday. And I knew the answer, but because I'd been pulling my nervous system out of some deep dysregulation that occurred over the last couple of years, I've never literally, my mom brought it to my attention. She's like, this is so not you. Like, you automatically make like you'll fly to Thailand with no plans and no money because you know everything's going to work out. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm not doing that right now. She's like, yeah, that's not you. I'm like, wow, thank you for highlighting that, Mom. And so that attention allowed me to realize the choices that I was making that I knew were for me, the doubt that was coming up was not me. And actually, we're all deeply intuitive and aware. It's just that the layers of inversion and doubt and distrust and indoctrination that we've all been absorbing and soaking in, and that energy is magnifying because as we are coming into form, we're at the pinnacle of all of this, all of the inverted energy, all of the doubts, all of that stuff about who we are and what we're here to be and express is at maximum potency because we are most here than ever before. Mm-hmm. And so I understand how difficult it can be to make it through these personal windows of not opportunity, but windows of deeper insight that gets embodied. And sometimes it's required that we make difficult choices that can feel like we're being insensitive to other people when actually we're being deeply caring. And it's not that we have to say anything that would make them feel that way, but just by deeply listening to someone. And if you can sit longer than your desire to respond, you'll notice the hooks that people are placing in you, subconsciously, unconsciously, but they're still placing them there, looking for you to feed them because you have such a bright light and you have so much openness and capacity. Well, if those hooks weren't in you and you were quote unquote selfish, that strengthening and honing of your direct connection would become so potent that they would be fed even by not hooking into you. Just by observing you, they would be fed by you. And this is what I mean by when we all fully take up the space in this universe, we're all being fed because we're all one being. And the resources that you are utilizing and thriving through, I am equally feeling in. So there's no shortage, there's no scarcity in this place. And by withholding nourishment that people think they need, you're giving them the nourishment that they couldn't even know that they would want. That's so much deeper than what you could provide them in that moment of letting them hook into your energy and drain you just a little bit more. And simultaneously, it's your awakened, embodied consciousness, our consciousness that's playing out through these various forms, integrating into an individual experience called you, that's deleting the interpersonal relationships that have nothing to do with how we relate in this new way, which is in differentiated union. Communal diversity, it is our light that is here. It is our awakening that we are witnessing. And so it can be difficult to watch the old die, but the more that you focus on what is being born, it's turning that inner eye straight to source within, whether you perceive that above you or inside of you. Wherever source is for you, it really doesn't matter, because where that is in your body will constantly change as it deepens, expands, enlivens, you know. As long as you're connecting to that, which you are, there's no right or wrong way to be. It's just you finding out what is efficient and effective for you. And if it doesn't feel good, then there's something that's off. And it's just a simple question of, how could I thrive better in this? And then the final part is the application, which is I formulated this as play. But all of those three parts are a formula of magic, which is invocation, banishment, and application. But all of those have to be in balance so that the old parts can thrive through the thankfulness that we provide them as what is being activated and integrated. We thank those old parts. Like, there's nothing bad or wrong or malicious or dangerous about what has occurred, unless we need to perceive that in order to get to the next stage. But in the stage where you hop into a whole new reality, we thank what came before. We thank the person who tries to hook into us, because it's giving us an opportunity to integrate and more deeply embody the truth of who we're becoming. They're just offering you an opportunity. And that's the beautiful thing about darkness or unconsciousness or subconscious attempts by others who aren't, fully integrated in things in the way that you are expressing and experiencing, is that they are just catalysts to bring more of you to the table. And the more that you bring, the more that there is to offer that it can't be hooked into. And it's just nourishment for the world around you.
Thank you, Barrett. That was really helpful.
So welcome. Does anyone else have any questions? Just taking a few deep, slow inhales and exhales. Asking the angels of integration to continue integrating, activating, cleansing, clearing, purifying, releasing and resolving all that is appropriate, helpful, and in the highest and best for you at this time. In accordance to your soul's direct connection to source within. Turning up the frequency and capacity of you for play and thriving, the ability to apply the consistency, the discipline, knowing that it's much easier to be disciplined and committed and consistent through the vibration of play. Because we are creating from that place of play and joy. Literally was jumping on the trampoline and just practicing my own energy practice as I got the words anatomy of thriving. And I was like, okay, cool. I guess we're gonna do this. And I had a general idea. I was feeling the class come online. But that's how it works. I get a name and I'm feeling this energy coming in, which feels really good. And then I try and plan the class pretty soon because the class is always the resolution for me. I mean, I usually feel pretty good a couple days before the class, but all the things that are getting upgraded in me start rushing up in the week or two before the session. So I was aware of, I started downloading things for the class, things that actually came through and I spoke about, because I was feeling that energy rise up and I'm like, oh, that is not thriving. And then I just worked through it. Deleting, activating, applying, deleting, activating, applying. The bit about integrating into the knees, I woke up the other night, middle of the night, extreme pain in my knees, like didn't even really make sense. And I just said, show me what is here that is resolving and needs to be resolved. Like, what is going on right now? And just noticing, I call it energy. You can call it tendencies, patterns, habits. What is the quality of that? And just looking at the way that you speak to others, think about others, the way that you feel about your job, the way that you interact or avoid interacting with friends or people that you meet, even things like fear of being public facing, whatever it is. There's all kinds of different ways in which we're relating because there's infinite possibilities of relating to the world around you. Just noticing what can be innovated, what can be changed that would make you feel better, because at the end of the day, it's actually your selfishness that allows you to be selfless, that allows you to provide. Because when you're selfish, when you're focusing on what's thriving for you in this new universe, is going to feed everyone. The old paradigm of codependency and enmeshment doesn't even fit here. And because so many of us are coming online to this in various ways, and as we all go out into the world, we're now radiating a completely new consciousness, and it will continue to integrate in us as well. We feel when people are playing in that codependency and enmeshment, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that type of energy was coming up for anyone who is listening to this now or later, in the previous days and weeks before you found this, whether you even knew you were going to take this class or not, because energy is, your body already knows what's happening in the future, and your future self is downloading you with the resolution that's up ahead by showing you what's leaving. And you call that an emotion that you're having now. It's actually something that's happening in the future that you're moving towards, and the magnetic resonance of your emotions is shifting, changing, and evolving as you're moving towards deeper thriving that's integrating now. One of the greatest ways for you to figure out what is and isn't working for you anymore is to meditate, to sit and do nothing, to breathe. Sometimes it's movement. Sometimes we need to just like break the stagnancy. Jumping on trampoline, for example, it's a great way to break up nervous system stagnation. But just sitting and breathing into the tension, if you've ever done like a yoga class or something like that, where you're consciously breathing into the tension and exhaling, and you notice that tension releases. That's stuff that's not thriving that the breath, which is God, which is you, that's incoming into the body, grabbing onto it, and as you exhale, it's leaving. But also, you may notice when you're meditating, you have all these thoughts and all these things that are coming up. And you're like, oh, I can't quiet my mind. The thoughts that you're having, if you can zoom out from them, are related to emotions that are stuck in the body that are not being fully integrated. And the mind, the function of memory is to bring you value. And if there's something that repeats in your mind over and over again, it is value that has not yet been received. And so it comes to you over and over again until you receive value. So another great question for deletion and activation is, what value from this have I not yet received? You can ask that question for people, places, things, circumstances, the news. Sometimes the greatest value of the news is just disregard, turning it off. Because you are the news. You are what's new. The funny thing about the news is it's just repeating what's happening in physical reality, and physical reality is the past. And you are the future integrating into it. Every prayer that you make, resolving something in the past, is you time traveling to that version of yourself and assisting in resolution. And when you're in this current moment and you get insights from your higher self, that's your future self stepping back into time, into that version's past, which is now, to assist you in resolving here. So this is when you can begin to create a mental model, quantum reality. You can pray, transform, heal, command, resolve anything at any time. And what we're doing here in this embodiment is taking all of the different dimensions and aspects of reality that we've played in and integrating them all here. And it's something that's never been done before in the way that we're doing it. We're at that cutting edge of reality. In fact, we moved out of one reality into another. And it may take some time getting used to it. And I would recommend listening to this a few times over a couple weeks or months to remember, let it dive deeper, and receive more of the value that you are. And you may hear things that you never heard of before because you will be in a different place at that time. Today was beyond anything that I could have imagined. It's always funny when I try and plan things for class. That's why I stopped doing it. I didn't even fully write the booklet because I was like, nope, there's going to be new stuff that I haven't even figured out yet. And I'll have to update it later anyways. So when the replay comes out, the booklet will come with it. And I've attempted to write that in the simplest, most objective terms possible to assist you in receiving quick little access points to deletion, activation, and play, so that wherever you are, you can move forward. Because the thing is, with thriving, you're not moving towards thriving. We are moving from thriving. Something inside of you already is thriving. Find out where that is and expand it to every part of your being and change it, mutate it in a way that functions for you. Because from that place of filling yourself up completely, you'll have so much to offer others, and you'll no longer imprison others in ways that they should thrive, what they should be doing. Help them discover that they have their own direct connection by asking them what needs to be resolved in order for the fullest expression of them to come through. Someone just left in the comments, brilliant, and so is your recent codependency clearing. Take up space, resolving codependency and enmeshment. Yes, so good. I just recorded that like 2 weeks ago from now. If you guys have any questions at this time, definitely leave them in the chat. Just see if anything else wants to come through at this time. One of the interesting things that's going through is actually just a recognition of like tuning the way that I even bring through a transmission and noticing my own patterns in this very moment of, and actually realizing that as I was doing it, of my own tendencies. And I think this is in part why part of my integration of this class was the release of caffeine, because it was on some subconscious level, because of that frequency of like scarcity, that I specifically was using it through, like, oh, I need this because I don't have enough energy. I was moving through massive fatigue at the time. And by the way, fatigue is just the sensation of your soul coming into the body and some part of you not coming fully online with that. When you do, the fatigue goes away. But I still enjoyed the coffee after that. And what I realized is that by hooking into that, the caffeine, I was like energetically like moving forward. And the thriving that was transmitted through this was the result of leaning back into my center and resting into the words as they were coming through. I used to think that I was having all kinds of problems with brain function and brain fog. And what brain fog actually tells me now is that I'm in my mind and trying to use my mind for a situation that doesn't require it. And the more that I sink into and speak from the deepest centers of my being, there is no stuttering. There is no question of what I'm going to say next, because I'm listening. And that is my profound integration for this session. And I thank you all for being part of it. Resolving anxiety in the nervous system, especially within the context of speaking. A lot of times we try to move through that by speaking more quickly or filling up space. But it's actually through slowing down beyond the mind into our bodies that allows us to have the natural confidence that we didn't even know that we had, especially when you're speaking from your balls. This voice coach once told me, speak from your balls. I was like, and I thought in that moment, I think I'll understand that in one day. Not right now. When we were doing the testicular integration, the ovary integration, I realized that's what he meant. To speak from this deep level of your being. And for our world today, it's too slow, too integrated, and too embodied. It's not that your embodiment of the cosmic self is somewhere else and now it's here. It's always been here. We just had to slow down deep enough to relax and receive it. I love you. Aloha ma. Going to open up for any questions. This part will be just for you guys, just to let you know. So if there's anything super personal that you want to like bring to the table, feel free. You can share on video. It won't be on the recording. This is just for us. So anything that you guys would like to share, I would love to open up to community. Reverberating and resolving within. Yes, yes, yes. And that's also the thing. The location of this is always at the depth of this relaxation. So anytime that you need or want to return to these levels of insight, it's already inside of you. And so life now becomes a game of relaxing into our thriving instead of striving for it. All right. I love you guys. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me, message me, per usual. And I'm sending you all so much love and aloha. And the replay and the booklet will come out shortly.
Thank you, Barrett.
You're so welcome. Choo!